Testing.
Oh, there we go.
Unfortunately, you guys all have to hear me now. So, there comes a time in everyone's life when they meet their one true love, their soulmate, the person who is going to know and love them for the rest of their life. That moment came for Chris 15 years ago when he met me. I'm Grant Wilson, a good friend of Chris, and glad he's finally able to admit that I am the best man. All you guys lost out over there. Before I get started, although it's been said many times, Nicole, you look absolutely beautiful tonight. And second, for all the single bridesmaids and single friends of Nicole's, you guys look beautiful as well. I don't actually have a date tonight, so I'll see you guys on the dance floor. Also, can we please give a round of applause to Vic and Donna? It's 8:30 and we're having a great time. Also, where Kevin and Mr. and Mrs. Blatz, where are they at? Can we give them a round of applause too? I don't know where you went wrong with Chris, but hey, 1 out of 2 kids isn't too bad. So I met Chris in middle school. Whoa, lights are on. All right, here we go. We lived together at FSU, and I'm pretty confident that I have the most dirt on Chris in this room. That's why I know he's shaking over here, because he's a little terrified that I have a microphone in my hand. Only problem is I only remember like 50% of the time, so I know Chris only remembers about 10% of the time. Chris has always been like a brother to me. When we lived together at FSU, the roommates considered themselves the Fab Five. Chris was always the one that was the drunkest girl at the party, and we had to hope he didn't get into trouble too much at night, which was always inevitable. Can't tell you how many times we didn't know where he was, so we checked the McDonald's nearby or the parking lot outside where he was getting rid of whatever he just ate and drank. Let's just say, Chris, he always made us look a little bit better than we should have. And I can speak for all 5 of us when we say, thank you for that. Nicole, did you ever think when you pictured the man of your dreams that you would end up with a guy that puts ketchup on his spaghetti? Yeah, unfortunately that happens. We'll be drinking Captain and Coke at 40. And pinches pennies so hard that he wanted to text everyone the wedding date instead of actually sending the invitations. Hey, that's on you, man. Yeah, there you go. Although I don't have much marriage experience myself, I want to give Chris some marriage advice. Only 2 things are necessary. Let Nicole think she's having her way. The other, let her actually have it. So please raise a glass. I'd like to toast to the bride and groom for a long and happy future.
My name's Casey. I'm Nicole's sister. And I don't think my speech is as witty as his, but... So I've known Nicole her whole life, and just like cheese or fine wine, she's gotten better with time. Nicole and I shared a room pretty much my whole childhood that I can remember, and then even when we no longer shared a room, she was just a few feet away. I remember when we switched into separate rooms, I would always come up with something silly to run into the room and tell her or do something, such as my famous rap songs. Once I went off to college, I assumed we would never get to share a room again, but joke's on me. 5 years later, she moved in with Clay and me. That year turned out to be one of my favorite years ever. On top of getting to do the regular sushi dates and Marshall dates, I was able to watch my 2 best friends become best friends. Once she moved out, Clay and I started on a new adventure, parenthood. But although she no longer lived with us, she had no problem making herself at home in my hospital room, including making sure she had a front row seat for Eliza's grand entry into the world. When I found out I was pregnant with another baby girl, I was over the moon excited. All I could imagine is everything Nicole and I have as sisters coming to life in my 2 girls. Everyone always asks, don't you wish you could have a boy? And I always say no, because having a sister has always been my favorite thing. Hey, baby, this is my kid, by the way. So becoming a mom and watching these girls grow way too fast before my eyes. Happy birthday, Hannah. Sorry, Mommy forgot this morning. has made me realize how fast and fleeting life really is, and I'm so thankful to have shared all the moments, big and small, with the best sister in the world. Congratulations on your very special day and the start of your next great adventure. I love you so much. Nicole, be patient with, oh, okay, I can finish there, it's cool. Nicole, be patient with Chris even when you don't want to. And Chris, never try to tame Nicole. She may be fierce, but she's gonna get you places. Cheers to the happy couple and welcome to the family. I'm gonna make you cry.
No, okay. All right, hi everyone. My name is Caitlin and I am the maid of honor, or shall I say the maid of dishonor. That title wasn't just given to me, it was earned. Long story short, I was living in England for 6 months with my fiance. A few days before, as I was supposed to leave to fly to make it to Nicole's bridal shower, my future mother-in-law was exposed to COVID. So I didn't want to risk having it and bringing it to the whole bridal shower. So I decided to stay in England for a bit longer, and subsequently, I had to miss the bridal shower. I'm sorry, Nicole. My heart was breaking when I was practically in tears delivering the news to Nicole. I knew she was upset in the moment, but I knew deep down that she understood, because that is who she is. No matter the situation, even if she doesn't realize it right away, she will understand where you're coming from. She only wants what is best for everyone and will go to any length to make that happen. She has a huge heart, and anyone who knows her can agree with me. Of course, I have known Nicole my whole life, as we are cousins born only 3 months apart. I'm the older one. Throughout our lives, we have celebrated almost every holiday together. However, I did not become close to her until I transferred to FSU, where I knew absolutely 0 people. Nicole, however, was already established there, with her friends and her sorority sisters. Not knowing Nicole that well, I did not expect her to reach out to me and invite me out with her friends. But lo and behold, she surprised me by inviting me out with her friends to a bar for happy hour. Little did I know, I walked into that bar with a cousin, and I walked out of that bar with a best friend. From then on out, I knew our relationship would blossom, but I just never could have imagined it would have blossomed into what our relationship is now. Someone who I know I can always count on, no matter the time of day or night, unless you wake her up from her sleeps after her night shifts. She's not the nicest then. She is someone who would go completely out of their way just so she can spend time with you, even if that is just sitting on the couch watching TV next to you. I remember this one time I was flying back from New York to my parents' house in Fort Lauderdale, which I was staying at for the summer during FSU. As my dad is usually the one to pick me up from the airport, I thought nothing was unusual when he pulled up in front of me and got out of his SUV to grab my suitcase. As he started to load up my suitcase in the back, I noticed this blanket on the back of the floor moving, and within half a second, the blanket drops and Nicole's face appears, and without hesitation, I just started crying out of pure shock and pure happiness. She was staying at her parents' house for the week, in the Keys or so, and decided to leave early so she could surprise me. That is just who she is, and she wants to put a smile on everyone's face. But tonight, Nicole, we want to see you smile from ear to ear. And Chris, you better make that happen and let her smile every single day of the rest of her life. I'm not done. Sorry. Now with Chris, let me give you a little background story. When I first met him, it was unlike most first times meeting a best friend's boyfriend, like your usual dinner or drinks at a bar, and then everyone goes home after. Instead, he and Nicole flew to mine and my fiance's tiny European 400 square foot studio apartment in central Madrid to stay with us for an entire week. Let me tell you, 1 week, 4 people in a 400 square foot studio apartment really gives you a chance to meet someone. Having anticipated meeting Chris for the first time, I was anxious about spending a week with him, not knowing how his personality or if he would be amenable to our European palate. Well, I soon found out his personality was okay. No, I'm just kidding, it's great. But he is the most picky 28-year-old eater I have ever met. However, I did make sure I had ketchup in the apartment because Nicole warned me about that obsession. Nevertheless, all was well because you could tell how happy he made Nicole, and that's all that mattered for me. Now fast forward to when Chris reached out to me to ask to help plan for the proposal. First off, I basically cried when I got the text. I'm emotional. Even though I knew it was coming as I went to look at engagement rings with them. He told me that he wanted to do it on their trip to visit me in London around New Year's Eve. He gave me one requirement. It had to be a nice backdrop, but he had to make sure that nobody was around. Well, it just so happens that a few weeks before New Year's Eve, I was in central London with my friend, and we were in front of Tower Bridge on a crisp winter afternoon, sun shining ever so bright. And that's when the light bulb went off. What better backdrop than Tower Bridge? So I texted Chris to ask him what he thought. He was questioning me if there would be a lot of people there, as it's a touristy place. I assured him there would not be many people. It was deserted, and I assumed it would stay that way as London is freezing cold in the winter and nobody wants to be outside. Well, I did forget one major factor, that it was the day before New Year's Eve and everyone was on winter break. Oops. When Chris and Nicole got off the subway at Tower Bridge and walked up the stairs to ground level, it was an entire sea of people. Chris immediately looked at me, and I knew that his one requirement of having no one around was out the door. Nicole kept walking towards Tower Bridge with excitement in her eyes, and Chris was walking towards Tower Bridge with fear in his eyes. And I was a mixture of excitement, nerves, and scared for Chris. However, when I was taking a photo of Nicole and Chris nodded his head, giving me the signal that it was about to happen. And the whole thing was recorded. What was amazing to watch is as Chris was getting down on one knee, the sea of people, not that story, the sea of people adjacent to us started clearing out in the photos and videos, and it looked like Chris and Nicole were the only ones there. What a time. Sorry, Chris, for not listening to your one requirement, but you're welcome for planning for those strangers to leave. It worked out really, really well. I have never seen Nicole smile the way she does when she looks at him most of the time, or the way she laughs when he tells a joke or rolls her eyes. They seem to be a perfect match because we all know opposites attract, and they seem to be polar opposites. Nicole, watching you grow into the beautiful, confident, determined individual that you are today has been incredible. I wish you nothing but absolute happiness during the next chapter of your life, and I cannot wait to see little Blatzes running around with Max. Cheers to Mr. and Mrs. Blatz.
That's right. A round of applause once again for you, Caitlin. Thank you, Caitlin.